What conspiracy theory do you believe to be true? What evidence led you to this conclusion? I believe that the government probably makes some conspiracy theories to try to make questioning the government seem somewhat crazy. The lines on the detergent caps are higher than they should be, so you use more detergent for each load of laundry. It's so easy for them to get away with it. The Hawaii nuke false alarm last year was actually the US government testing to see how the general population would react if an actual nuclear war broke out. Arts Guild their own submissions from old accounts to give them traction. Source: the removed comments in this thread were discussing exactly that. The original comment itself was even gilded and removed in less than 30 minutes. I believe in the mattress store conspiracy. So the conspiracy is that mattress stores are for money laundering. I went onto Google Maps and typed in mattress stores near me. There were 4 mattress stores in the same shopping center. There was a road that had 5 mattress stores less than a mile apart. So I definitely believe in it. I don't necessarily believe this, but I've always speculated that a lot of priceless artwork and historical documents are actually replicas or copies. Obviously a painting by a world famous artist using a very specific technique would be very hard to fake. And I don't think that every art scholar in the world is paid off in some grand conspiracy. Rather, I just think that either the national treasures never left their vaults or that some national treasures actually were lost to history but they were copied. I wrote a complaint online about my pizza place about them cancelling my order without telling me, and the next order I got from them was ducked up. The pizza was way undercooked and not cut, and they didn't include the ranch that I always get with it. Also, when I called to tell them about the duck up, the manager seemed unapologetic and also like he already knew what I was talking about before I called. My conspiracy is that they retaliated since I basically reported them to corporate through their website with my initial complaint. I got a free pizza on my account with them for this but decided just to not order from them anymore. Mediocre pizza anyway. Why is the second highest rated comment removed? The duck is that bullet? The countdown timers on ads for games or streaming services are actually longer than seconds. Seems too long sometimes. The Bandersnatch Black Mirror Netflix special collected watchers data to better green light productions that were more in line with users' taste. That there is a huge pedophile ring in Hollywood. Anyone who tries to expose them die shortly after coincidentally. Edit. Thanks for the silvers. Restaurant owners know how awkward it is to be sung to in front of the whole establishment, and they do it to discourage people from taking advantage of their free birthday food. Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 wasn't an accident. There were definitely external forces that catalyzed its disappearance. The flight path was diverted many times and there was a lot of shady stuff about some of the passengers and the pilot of Flight 370. We may never know unless the plane is found. Disney made Zootopia partly to replace the Song of the South characters from Splash Mountain. Splash Mountain is really the only thing that still exists in the public eye from Song of the South, along with the song Zipper-Dee-Doo-Dah. Since Disney wants to pretend that movie doesn't exist, so they created a movie featuring Fox and Rabbit characters that could replace Bro Fox and Bro Rabbit, and Ray themed the entire ride to be Zootopia themed, while leaving some things, like the name, and the songs featured in the ride, from Song in the South. There's also that Disney loves Ray theming things to their IP now, getting rid of Maelstrom and bringing in a Frozen themed ride. So it would make sense for them to re-theme a ride to a successful recent movie then keep a ride based off an old, mildly racist movie they are trying to forget. 23andMe is run by the government to collect your DNA and database it for later. Every time someone posts about a safe on Reddit, they actually have already opened it and know nothing is in it before their first post. I have a theory that Tinder gives fake you got a new match notifications so people get excited and opens Tinder, which leads them to swipe more. Source: myself. The news report about beards containing more bacteria than a dog that just licked his own asshole. Beards are messing with facial recognition software. The man wants beards to not be trendy anymore. iHeart Radio coordinates commercials breaks to all take place simultaneously so you're forced to listen to ads even you change the station. They're practically a monopoly in my area and I notice it happens to me all the time. I keep ink pens from every year dating back to 2008 in my desk so that if I need to forge and backdate an important document I can sign it with ink that matches the year I'm backdating. Yes, feds do check ink in fraud investigations, not really a conspiracy but might answer a few questions. All the UFO sightings throughout history are just humans from the future on a time traveling safari meant to observe how we were in the past. They are supposed to keep out of sight. But thanks to human mechanical errors there have been hiccups with their cloaking which have resulted in being seen. That's why there have always been so many reports of them throughout history. But there has never been an attack. It's just us. Also the reason why we don't see as many examples of UFOs now even through pretty much everyone has a camera is because people are not that interested in this time period since we already document aspects of human life all the time. The whole child pedophile ring happening in US politics. Epstein had too many friends in high places. I used to tell people that I believed the government listened to our phone calls. Years later some guy named Snowden proved me right. Modern drug prohibition is a for-profit endeavor perpetrated by governments for the benefit of pharmaceutical corporations, prison industrials, and warlords. That Disney made a movie named Frozen so that when people Google things like Frozen and Disney together, info about the movie comes up instead of stories about Walt Disney's frozen head. Area 51 is not a place for secret government military testing with aliens and stuff. Instead Area 51 is a scapegoat while shady behind the scenes stuff is going on at another military base that the general public doesn't know about. I mean if you were really going to do something in secrecy, would you do it in the place where everyone thinks it is? Hell no. I don't have any specific evidence to back this up but it makes sense, right? I'm starting to think that the really stupid conspiracy theories, vaccines causing autism, flat earth, lizard people, etc., are intentionally spread by propaganda groups and troll farms. They don't care what stupidity you believe. But they are very interested to know that you're a gullible mark who will believe anything with no evidence and won't do research with authorities on the matter to find the truth. If you want to spread misinformation, look for the people who do it as a hobby. All my devices listen in on me. The other day I was arguing with my dad about some chicken I thought had gone off. It was frozen for about a month so we weren't too sure but my dad was insistent that it was still edible. Dad decided to ask Google, and lo and behold the related searches even from the first letter were, is chicken edible after being frozen for a month and how long can you freeze chicken before it goes off? Also, my mum and I use this tactic where if we need to ring up a company about something and it puts us in a queue, we swear at it. It then puts you on a priority list and you don't have to wait as long. Kinda sketchy on the company's behalf. Government feeding crack sugar into black communities. JFK, there was definitely something shady going on there. Gum's gotten mintier lately, have you noticed? Like, some of it's just too minty. That the government uses social media to manipulate and measure public sentiment and opinion. I believe that there is only one ocean. My evidence, oceans don't have borders and there is nothing to separate them. Edit, guys. This is a joke. This is more of a personal conspiracy. I've been working as an American healthcare consultant for 2 years now, and I genuinely think that insurance companies are purposely denying claims so that they can leverage $ for their beneficiaries' medical records. For example, one of my clients, a huge and important hospital system, had to deal with hundreds of thousands of dollars of medical claim denials because Humana suddenly decided it didn't believe any of those hospital stays were legitimate. They basically told my clients to either fax hundreds of medical records or accept the zero pays. It's really suspicious and unfortunate, but when they have the money, what can you do? When Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber, was at Harvard, He participated in a brutal psychological experiment led by Professor Henry Murray. The experiment lasted for 3 years and by many accounts they seemed to have an extreme impact on Kaczynski's psyche. I think this experiment was part of the CIA's MKUltra project and destabilized Kaczynski enough to where he eventually went on his reign of terror of sending bombed packages around the country. During the MKUltra project, the CIA collaborated with university professors on these mind control experiments, but a lot of the documentation was destroyed when people started to look into it. TLDR. The Unabomber participated in an experiment that was a part of the MKUltra project that eventually led to him becoming a mass murderer. That the dust the Kleenex tissue have makes you sneeze more, therefore using more tissues. I have a sneaking suspicion that some televangelists may not be entirely sincere in their beliefs. The stories about Dan Schneider. Watching some clips of shows he produces is downright creepy. The tweets of his actress's feet don't help his cause. I believe that chapstick causes lips to become more dry a couple hours after usage. I base this on the fact that my lips are more dry 5 hours after using chapstick than 2 days after using it. Gas station owners are the ones putting the card scammers on the pumps. They don't want your info. They want you to distrust pay at the pump so you'll come inside and make an impulse buy. Most stations barely make any money of gas. The money is in the stuff they sell inside. Banks and landowners conspire to manipulate urban land prices. Turn an area into a ghetto by marking it as a high-risk loan proposition. Denying loans in the area. Property values plummet on a downtown area because no one can sell. Because no one can get a loan. Once things are down enough, you can buy up prime location land at pennies on the dollar, then redevelop it into being worth the real market value of such a central location, plus what you invested in the actual development. I believe that human civilization may have gotten as advanced as we are now in the distant past. First, anatomically modern humans have been around for like 300,000 years. Civilization, from the earliest settlement we know of to today, is maybe 20,000 years old. In short, there's absolutely plenty of time to go from Sumerians to Americans nearly 10 times over in the time span between the first modern humans and Sumerians. And given that there's nothing unusual about the humans who built Sumer. Second, there are lots of legends about human civilization being destroyed by angry gods, usually because of humans behaving badly. The Greeks had a story like that. The Bible, the Hopi, the Zoroastrians. Just about any place where there's a record, you can find history of and often prophecies of a catastrophe that ends civilization, and more often than not, caused by human hubris. Third, there are all kinds of anomalies in history. Egypt has model airplanes. Indian scripture has vimanas that sound a lot like airplanes or spacecraft. There's the Pi race map that shows Antarctica before it had been discovered. And it's accurate. These things don't make sense unless you have people understanding technology near our own level before us. More than what evidence led you to this conclusion? Everyone proceeds to post zero evidence. The 10-year challenge all over social media is actually a way to record and gather more facial recognition data. Apple keeps changing the head of their chargers because they want to piss me off. Evidence: I'm always pissed off. That Gabon is ready to release Half-Life 3, but is polishing it so that when it comes out, it is the best game ever created. No way. The top comment that was just deleted talked about fake gilding from admins in order to gain traction on posts, and it was deleted. I believe it now. I believe that modern minimalistic art exists solely for money laundering. It's just a way for rich people to move money around. There's a reason why paintings of plain geometric shapes sell for millions of dollars. And it's not because the buyers are really into shapes. Sony killed Michael Jackson. He owned the rights to the Beatles discography. After he died, Sony had remastered versions of every Beatles album available days after MJ's estate sold the rights to Sony. There's no way they could have remastered the albums and published the CDs in that short amount of time. The F-35 project overcost was actually a slush found for secret research. All conspiracy theories, even the ones that contradict each other, are true. The authorities aren't telling us everything they know about the Vegas shooting. Not a conspiracy theory, but I have my moments of Truman Show delusions. I think this has become a wide enough phenomenon that psychologists have even coined a term for it. Edit. Here is a published report on the topic. I think the US made a secret peace plan with China after the Korean War. I base this on the way Chinese foreign policy changed so quickly and their lack of involvement in American wars in the decades to come. I think it fell apart in the 90s under Bush Sr. I think Apple is pushing their AirPods on consumers by making their software updates less and less compatible with wired headphones. My reasoning: my new headphones have started to consistently skip songs, activate Siri, stop and start music without me touching or even moving them. I asked around and other people are having the same issue. Not to be a tinfoil hat person, but tinfoil hat. Marilyn Monroe was murdered by the US government. She frequently attempted suicide and then called someone via her landline next to her bed to come save her. When she died, no traces of it were found within her stomach and her colon had been extremely cleaned. A theory is that she was murdered via enema poisoning. I haven't brushed up on it or researched in a long time, so I am probably remembering facts incorrectly. Search it up on YouTube, it's quite interesting. The fact that there is a secret society of people keeping Long John Silvers in business. Reddit works with the NSA. I see weird posts sometimes targeting my demographic to respond. Make sure to know you have no privacy here. I see some making throwaway accounts. Very smart. The thing I like about these threads is that there are people reading these comments right now who know something important about the theories and they just aren't willing or able to provide that information here. I feel like drugs like sugar being cut with fentanyl. No dealer who wants to keep making money is going to cut their blow with fent. It seems like drugs are being intercepted, cut with dangerous it and then sent back out. Evidence: they already did the same thing during alcohol prohibition. The people doing it are convinced they are doing society a favor. That the USA deliberately gets into an armed conflict every decade or so for the purpose of ensuring that at any given time, they always have a critical mass of soldiers with actual combat experience. They get in a lot of conflicts, and it seems highly probable that the leadership of a country that spends so much on national defense would highly value the institutional knowledge that comes from that kind of continuity of practical experience, even if it comes at a high human cost. Used to live in a small town in South Dakota and I am convinced there is something in the food water there to keep people there. I'm partially convinced it's actually the Dairy Queen causing this, because for a town of 7,000, this place is always so busy and somehow, every year for the past 11 years, the entire length of this competition, sells the most blizzards on Miracle Treat Day. A town of 7,000 outsells every other Dairy Queen. There's also some other things in that the town has a significant amount of people with very similar disabilities to their left legs. I honestly am just glad I'm out of that town before it sucked me in. But how the hell does that small ass town sell 40,000 blizzards in a day? The Fresno police killed John Lang. It's been a while since I've read the story, so forgive me if I get something wrong. John Lang was a journalist who was very critical of the FPD. He wrote an article about how the police went into poor parts of the city and pulled cars over that parked in free parking lots or something like that. Eventually, he started noticing people watching his house, FBI style. One night he asked on Facebook if he could stay in someone's home for the night, as he knew the police were going to kill him that night. After no one let him, his house caught on fire. The coroner said that he was stabbed to death, but then retracted that statement. That last part is what makes me believe it's 100% real. Edit. The coroner now says it was a suicide, not an accident. They say it's not butter, but it is. Some celebrities fake their deaths to retire from public eyes. I'm starting to believe anti-dandruff shampoo actually causes dandruff. I am 100% convinced that Hostess going under a few years ago was a total marketing ploy. That we didn't have an apocalypse in 2012, but instead shifted into an almost parody timeline of events. It's why humanity's future looks bleaker every year. Conspiracy. My local Jimmy John's waits until they have 3-4 orders to deliver before they bring me my ducking sandwich. Evidence. Where's my ducking sandwich? I believe that Apple started the wearing AirPods equals cool rich meme intentionally to boost sales. They became the best selling wireless earbuds worldwide after the meme. Pepe Sylvia isn't a real person and HR is a lie. Every Trader Joe's has a small or otherwise difficult to navigate parking lot. This is done purposefully in order to make the stores look busy. For real. Like do to check out your local Trader Joe's and try to go through the parking lot, you'll notice that it probably sucks really bad. That's cause they all do wake up sheeple.